Muscle cars? We've seen them all. But have you seen a gasser so bizarre it'll break necks and spark conversations? Today, we're ditching ordinary and embracing the outlandish. We're talking about the top 10 weirdest looking gassers. The kind of cars that make you do a double take, and then maybe another. Prepare to be amazed, confused, and thoroughly entertained. Let's get this show on the road, real quick, gearheads. Kicking off our list at number 10, prepare to be blinded by chrome. It's the 1965 Chrysler 300L. Now, you might be scratching your head. Chrysler 300? Weird looking? But think about it. This bad boy had a huge, powerful engine. It looked all comfy and classy, but it could zoom like crazy. Imagine a giant sofa that could win a race. That's this car. It's a land yacht with a hidden desire for speed. You wouldn't expect this massive machine to tear down the quarter mile, which is precisely what makes it so wonderfully weird. The 413 cubic inch Wedge 8 was a serious piece of engineering, and it turned this luxury cruiser into a surprise drag strip contender. Roaring in at number 9, we have the 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88. A Corvette weird? Yep. This one was like a race car pretending to be a normal car. It had a super powerful engine, but it didn't look flashy. No fancy stripes, just pure raw power. The L88 was all about business. It packed a 427 cubic inch V8 that was built for one thing: going fast. Chevrolet officially rated it at 430 horsepower, which was already impressive. But that's just what they wanted you to believe. In reality, this machine was a sleeping giant packing a hidden punch. We're talking at least 550 horsepower, with whispers in the racing world hinting at a staggering 560 plus horsepower reality. There were no frills, no fancy decorations. It was shockingly understated for such a beast, which is exactly what makes it so delightfully odd. It was designed to dominate the track, not the car show. Screaming into the number 8 spot, it's the 1969 Mercury Cyclone spoiler. So the Mercury took the Cyclone and, well, added a spoiler. The car that dared to ask, how much wing is too much wing? Mercury really went for it with this one, embracing the aerodynamic craze of the late 60s in a way that was, well, let's just say, it's all about that spoiler. And it wasn't just for show, kind of. The 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 under the hood meant this car had the muscle to somewhat back up the race car looks. This engine, a Ford performance staple, delivered a solid punch of around 335 horsepower and over 440 pound-feet of torque. While the wing's actual aerodynamic effectiveness on the street might be debatable, especially at legal speeds, it undeniably gave the Cyclone spoiler a unique and attention-grabbing presence. The weirdness here is in the commitment to that massive wing, making the car look like it was perpetually ready for liftoff, or at least a high-speed oval track. It was a visual commitment to speed and performance that bordered on cartoonish, making it wonderfully weird and memorable. It was a rolling billboard for aerodynamic ambition, even if the aerodynamics were a bit exaggerated for everyday driving. Charging in at number 7, we've got the 1970 AMC Javelin. AMC was always a little different, and the Javelin? Oh boy, it had a unique look, short, stubby, with almost cartoonish flared fenders and a perpetually surprised front end. Engine options range from reasonable to ridiculously powerful, topping out with a 401 cubic inch V8 that could churn out around 330 horsepower. The Javelin's quirkiness isn't classically beautiful or aggressively menacing, it's simply unique. It dared to be different in a world of Mustangs and Camaros, and that's what makes it strangely cool. Burning rubber into the number 6 spot, it's the 1966 Pontiac GTO, the Judge. Here comes the Judge. So, this GTO wasn't just powerful, it was theatrical. The Judge trim was all about attitude. That wild, bright carousel red paint, the bold stripes, the spoiler that looked like it was glued on as an afterthought. It was pure, unadulterated showmanship. Underneath all that bravado, you had a potent 389 or even 400 cubic inch V8. The weirdness? It's almost trying too hard to be cool. It's loud, brash, and unapologetically over the top. The Judge is here to lay down the law in the most flamboyant way possible. And just imagine the sound. An uncorked, fuel-injected L88. It would be like the apocalypse on wheels. But wait till you hear about the engine in number 5. It's even crazier. Halfway through our weirdness countdown, grabbing the number 5 spot is the 1968 Dodge Dart Gasser. The Dodge Dart, once a humble compact car, was subjected to the unholy transformation into a monstrous wheel-standing drag racer. These weren't just modified, they were automotive insults. Their factory looks defiled with jacked-up front ends, skinny front tires, and gargantuan rear slicks. Engines, often massive Mopar power plants, protruded obscenely from the hood, all in the pursuit of ludicrous front-wheel lift. The true offense? The utter disregard for the Dart's original design, turning a sensible car into a fire-breathing, cartoonish monstrosity. Launching into the number 4 spot, it's the 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. Convertible muscle cars? Cool. Hemi Cudas? Legendary. Hemi Cuda convertibles? I don't think so. You've got the wind in your hair, sunshine on your face, and the unholy roar of a 426 cubic inch Hemi V8 bellowing from under the hood, unleashing around 425 horsepower. The weirdness? It's almost too much. Muscle car performance in a convertible body, pushing the boundaries of good taste to glorious extremes. It's ridiculously rare, insanely powerful, and just wonderfully weirdly opulent. Zooming into the number 3 spot, we have the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Alright, so you think a Camaro is just another classic muscle car. Think again. The ZL1 was a whole different animal. Hiding under that plain Camaro exterior was a monster all-aluminum 427 cubic inch ZL1 V8. This wasn't just any engine. It was practically a race engine disguised for the street, officially rated at 430 horsepower, but everyone knows it could unleash way more. The real kicker? It's the ultimate sleeper. It looks completely stock, totally unassuming, until it unleashes unholy hell. It's weirdly subtle and understated for something so brutally powerful and rare. Some might even call it deceptive. Taking the runner-up spot, the Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt. So this car is all about function over form, pure and simple. Ford took a perfectly respectable Ford Fairlane, stripped it down, lightened it wherever possible, and then crammed in a monstrous engine. The result? A drag racing weapon disguised, barely, as a street car. The engine in question? The mighty 427 cubic inch V8 churning out around 425 horsepower. But it wasn't just the power, it was how it was delivered. And that brings us to that hood scoop. That massive forward-facing air intake is the visual signature of the Thunderbolt, and its pure function. It's there to ram air directly into the carburetors, maximizing airflow and power. The weirdness of the Thunderbolt is in its brutal purposefulness. It's not trying to be pretty, it's not trying to be comfortable, it's just trying to be fast in a straight line. It's weirdly aggressive, single-minded, and utterly focused on drag strip domination, sacrificing everything else in pursuit of speed. It's the automotive equivalent of a bare-knuckle fighter, all raw power and no frills. Alright, we've already seen a luxury car gone wild, a Corvette on steroids, and a NASCAR refugee turned drag strip demon, but that was just the warm-up. And finally, reigning supreme in our weirdness competition at number 1, the car that truly embodies the wild spirit of gasser madness. It's the 1963 Dodge Polara 500 Gasser. This car is a perfect example of the wild and unrestrained gasser movement. Taking a full-size Dodge Polara 500, a car that was originally designed for comfortable family cruising, and transforming it into a towering, wheel-standing drag racing spectacle? The Polara 500 Gasser is weird because it takes something inherently ordinary and elevates it to something completely extraordinary, bordering on the absurd. The jacked-up front end, the skinny front tires, the massive rear slicks, and that aggressive nose-in-the-air stance all are hallmarks of the Gasser style, pushed to the extreme. And the engines? Again, the weirder the better. Builders shoehorned in anything they could find, from the 426 Wedge to the legendary Hemi, any big block that could deliver the monstrous power needed to lift those front wheels skyward. It's the ultimate expression of taking something big, heavy, and maybe a little boring and turning it into a fire-breathing, wheel-standing spectacle. So there you have it. From the subtly strange Corvette L88 to the sky-high antics of the Dodge Polara Gasser, we've explored the wonderfully weird world of 1960s and 70s muscle car gassers. If you got a kick out of this dive into automotive oddities, subscribe for more deep dives into car culture, and don't forget to check out our previous video. Now for the burning question. Which of these wonderfully weird muscle machines would you rock? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, gearheads.